Howdy y'all, I am Ice Gold and I'm back with the Storm Spells tier list, and there's a bunch that are here. There's honestly so many good Storm spells. Storm really has a really great library when it comes to, PvE at least, and there's going to be 35 total cards that I'm going to be looking over for this video here today. So, starting off with Berry Surprise. Yeah. Top Path and Base Berry is going to be D tier, but Bottom Path Berry is going to be like A tier. So we'll start it off with the B tier just because it's like, yeah, it's really, really good if you have the Bottom Path, but the Top Path and the base version are really just not that great. So B tier is where I'm going to put Berry. B for Berry. Go crazy. Bunyip's Rage, first entry into the S tier. This is by far the best Wallaru spell because when you have it fully upgraded, it'll do 625 base damage, which is, a little bit more than the 605 that we see here. And I mean, it kind of just goes without saying, being able to do all of that damage on turn 1 with, a storm spell. It's like, that's really, really good. So, Bunyip's Rage, easy S tier, without a doubt. Catalan, this actually does pretty good damage, and its after effect is actually quite nice, so it's going to be in the A tier. This goes all the way up to 700 damage, and that 35 universal weakness, it honestly can be kind of nice. So Catalan will end up in the A tier. It's like the damage is good is mostly what I'm getting at. Catch of the Day. Honestly, I feel like both paths are gonna put it in the B tier. That's where it'll end up. It doesn't do as much damage as Catalan, so using Catalan over Catch, like on turn 1 for like a daily assignment or whatever, is recommended, at least by me. But Catch, it's good. It's good. That's that's mostly what I'll say when it comes to Catch of the Day. It's a good spell, but there's better that exist. So it's all right. Cleanse Charm. I did decide to add this because Cleanse Charm is a godsend. It is so nice. It really is just amazing, and I love it so much, especially on a balance. It's really good to keep these. So yeah, Cleanse Charm, I'm going to be putting it in the S tier. I even put it on the list just so I could put it in the S tier because that is how much I love Cleanse Charm. It is so good, whether it be like a TC or main deck. It is such a nice thing to have, and crazy that Storm gets that. So Dark and Stormy, I'll put this one in the A tier just because it's like the Top Path really does mass, and it actually can heal you for a good amount. So I don't know, I like it. Dark and Stormy, it's like a good hit. So Dark and Stormy will go in the A tier there. Enfeeble, there are situations where this can be good. So I'll put that in the A tier as well. It's some nice utility that Storm just sort of has. So Enfeeble, it's kind of nice. You like to see that. Glowbug Squall, S tier, for obvious reasons. It's Glowbug Squall, this one's an OG. Got to love it. Hammer of Thor. This I actually really like because it removes the curse on yourself first before doing the damage, which is kind of nuts, I'll be honest. So Hammer is going to go in the A tier because of that. Like, the damage is really, really good too. So yeah, it is. I like the spell a lot. It is definitely a good spell in Storm's arsenal, that's for sure. No, bring that back down. Add a row below. Or make that say D tier again, and then yeah, healing current gets its own tier. It used to actually be kind of decent because you could, okay, so it would heal for 100, 400, or 1,000 for 3 pips. And I think that's really, really good for a storm. But yeah, this, on the other hand, is not so great at all. It got nuked pretty heavily. It's a half decent heal, but it's not good. It's not good like at all, so it gets its own tier. Insane Bolt. This one also got massacred pretty hard. It used to be it would do like 1,000 moon damage to the target, or 10,000 to yourself, which made it kind of risky to use, but it was also fun to use. So old Insane Bolt would have gone somewhere around like the A or B tier just because of that. But the new Insane Bolt, without a doubt, is going to end up in the D tier. It just doesn't do that much damage anymore. So yeah, D tier is where it's going to end up. Iron Sultan, actually I'll put it in the B tier. Usually I put the Mirage spells in the C tier, but Iron Sultan is going to be an exception here because Iron Sultan, it does so much for those 4 pips in the shad. Like, it is, yeah, I mean, it is a good spell to keep in your arsenal. Like, if you don't have, I know Rusalka is better, Dark and Stormy is better, but this is still good to have. I like it. Iron Sultan is definitely the best of the Mirage spells just because of the damage on it, so Iron Sultan will go in the B tier, whereas pretty much all of the others are going to end up in the C tier on their respective lists. King Artorias, I'll put that in A. This is a very, very strong hit. 1,115 damage for 8 pips. Like, this is just a straight hit. Like, this does mass. So definitely going to be putting that in the A tier just because of the sheer amount of damage that it does. Kraken is also, I'm going to put this one in the B tier, just because, I mean, for 4 pips, it's like, it's the same thing as Iron Sultan. It just does so much for so little. So yeah, I mean, better spells exist, but Kraken, it's going to be in the B tier just because all that damage for 4 pips, that is honestly just so amazing. Leviathan is up next, and this, I'll honestly put it in the C tier. The blade removal is kind of neat, but yeah, I mean, this and King Art, it's like, if the 8 pip spell is stronger than King Art, it'll be in the A tier while King Art is in the C. But if it's the other way around, like it is here, and like it was on the fire list, King Art is going to be way above the 8 pip spell, just because this Leviathan loses out on a lot of damage to its utility, and the utility is decent, but if you're looking for just damage, then this is by far the best. So King Art is going to be up here while Leviathan is down here. I do still like Leviathan as a spell. It does good damage for when you get it, but yeah, that's really about it. Lightning Bats, I'll put that in the C tier. It does good damage. It's like a level 5 spell, so it'll do good damage for, what it is. It's a pretty good spell, I like to think. It does the most damage up front out of all of the 2 pip spells, so I'll put it in the C tier for that. Queen Calypso. This one I like a lot. It looks like it does less damage because it only does 445 to 505, but the trap comes before, which is really, good. And I really love this spell for that reason. I think, Hammer of Thor and Catalan do outclass it, but the more damage you have, the more that this is going to do. So yeah, Queen Calypso, it's really, really, really good. And the bottom path is a really good heal counter that I would also put in the A tier. So Queen Calypso, just all around, no matter which path you take, it's really, really good. And I'm pretty sure the path B on Cali here is good too. Like, it does more damage, I want to say, or like more base damage. It doesn't do more damage overall because of the trap, but more base damage is more base damage. So And the 80% impact on it is kind of nice. So this spell will end up in the A tier just because both paths end up here. So definitely good. Revolutionary Strike. Yeah, it's the first of its kind. It's a 3-pip lore spell, but the utility is not great. It extends a heal over time by 2 turns, which can be nice if you were to use this like in conjunction with Dark and Stormy, but yeah, I think I'll leave it in the D tier just because like what they did with protected heal over times recently in the spring update was they took them out entirely in favor of splitting them into 2 heal over times. So this will extend one of them, but it won't extend the other to my knowledge. So D tier is where this is going to end up and where it's going to stay. So tough luck, I guess. Rusalka's Wrath. This really loses a lot of damage to like the random utility, but it's still good. I don't know. I'm gonna see if Dark and Stormy's top path ends up doing more. Hold on. Okay, after further deliberation, the top half of Dark and Stormy at its 8-pip value does do 15 more base damage than Rusalka's Wrath. So Rusalka is going to end up in the B tier for that reason. It's good at what it does, but it's the same story as Iron Sultan. It's like if you have the pips for Dark and Stormy, which you most likely will, when you're in a situation where you're using it, or like a single hit shad, you're gonna have the pips for this if you have this upgraded to 8 pips. So yeah, better spells exist is sort of what I'm getting at here with Rusalka. Scion of Storm. This one is an interesting case. It's the highest damaging spell in the entire game, especially with the conditional. But I just don't know. I think I'll put it in the C tier actually, just because it's like, or no, I'll put it in the B tier. The efficacy of this Scion of Storm here, it's sort of all in, are you the player going first? And if you are, then you can use this way easier. But if not, then you run the risk of, like the target blading, for example, on the turn that you hit. So, yeah, Scion of Storm, I'll put it in the B tier. The potential here is insane. Like, it's the most potential in the game, but the setup can be undone in like 1 turn, and then you need to use like a disarm or something, which I don't actually have in this tier list, but yeah, you need to wait for that blade to go away in some form or fashion before you can use this spell. So B tier is where I think I'm gonna leave this. It's really amazing if you can meet the conditional, but it's just meeting that conditional. That's the problem, and you'll see why. It's like other Scion spells I've put higher up because they just do the most like base damage on their single, like without the conditional, but Scion of Storm is not like that, and you'll see why, because Storm Owl is coming up. But yeah, Scion of Storm will end up in the B tier. Sirens. This is actually a really underrated spell. I am going to keep it so real. This is an underrated spell. I will be putting it in the A tier. If you have 9 pips, I would recommend using Sirens over Stormlord, because it just does more damage. Like, not much else to it than that. And yeah, it's like if it is sort of situational. If you don't have a shad, then at 9 pips, it's like, then this is good. It's like, I like using this if I'm just like farming regularly. It's like, I'll throw this out if it's like 3 rounds to set up and kill, because like I can blade into a frenzy and do this and do more than I would have if I had done blade into Stormlord or blade frenzy Stormlord, for example. So I just like carrying this. It's real underrated. So yeah, Sirens will go in the A tier. Sound and Musicology, I will be putting an S, especially because once you can get it to that 7 pip value, it just does so much. It's like, it wildly outclasses Glowbugs if you can get it all the way up there, and it's just so good. It's like, if you get the Shad turn 2, it's like I was crash farming, I think last week, somewhere in there, and I was using this pretty regularly, and I was doing way more damage with it, so 10 out of 10 spell. It's like, this is Storm's best AoE, I want to say. Tempest might outclass it. I could be wrong there, but we'll see. Sound and Musicology, otherwise, it is so good. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Stormlord. This is also going to go in the S tier. I know I said Sirens was better than Stormlord, but there are a lot of situations where Stormlord, it's like, if you're only taking 2 turns, then Stormlord is your go-to, and there's more situations where you take 2 turns as opposed to 3. So, Stormlord will be going in the S. This is a staple for Storms to have in their decks, you know. 690 storm damage, that actually goes, I think, up to 755 with spell limits and all that, so yeah, it's pretty good, I will say that. And then Stormowl, this, I will put this in the A tier, I want to say. It just does, I mean, it does mass, is what I'm getting at, and this is above Scion of Storm because it costs 1 less pip, and it'll do more damage. It's like you can use this a lot easier. You don't have to worry about the target blading. So Stormowl, it's like, if it hits anywhere from like mid to high end, then it's better than base Scion. So Stormowl, really good spell, does mass. Don't think I really need to say more. Storm Shark. This I'll go ahead and put in the C tier alongside Lightning Bats. It's good at what it does, but yeah, it gets outclassed pretty soon afterward. But I mean, if you're questing through like Crocotopia, for example, Storm Shark is still like a really good spell. It's like all of the rank 3s are good for that world, but they sort of drop off the second you get the rank 4. So it just whiz what it whiz there. Stormwing. This yeah, I'm just going to put it in C tier. It's like Stormzilla is coming up next, and then we already have, you know, Catalan, Hammer of Thor, Queen Calypso. It's like, the aura is kind of neat, but it just doesn't really do all that much damage, and you can upgrade this on a Spellment path, but you need to do Beast Moon to do that, so already, I mean, that gives me half a mind to knock this one on down to the D tier, but I think I'll leave it in C for now. Stormzilla, I'll put it up in the B tier. It's I mean, the damage difference is really what sets it apart from Kraken here. I think actually I'm going to put it in the A tier just because of that. It's like people sleep on the spell, but it is Storm's like highest damaging first round single target hit. So yeah, it's like if you can upgrade this on path A, and then I mean honestly path B should be an S, so A is where I think it'll end up. But yeah, this spell, it just does mass, and like that is Storm's whole MO. You're gonna hear me saying that a lot, but Stormzilla, just the sheer amount of damage, it's like Kraken, you know, 520 to 580 for 4 pips, that's real good. But for Stormzilla to do 650 all the way up to 730 for 5 pips, that is totally nuts. And Stormzilla is seriously an amazing spell because of that. So it's going to go in the A tier. Supercharge, this one's an interesting one. But I think I'm going to put it in the D tier. It's like, it's an X-Pip spell, you know, maybe you could do some sort of Dark Surge play with this. I mean, obviously not in PvP because it's banned in PvP, but in PvE you could do this and then like Dark Surge into a Stormlord, for example. So cool, I guess. Yeah. Supercharge. It's real situational. Like, it might be good against the Storm Titan, but that's really about it. So, yeah, Supercharge is going to go there. Tempest, this is an S tier spell without a doubt. This, I mean, 80 storm damage per pip to all enemies. It's like, this is sort of the perfect storm spell. You can't really ask for much more than this. It is so good. So, it is going to be in the S tier. That is where it will always be. Because, I mean, I think I did the calculations once. It does, I think, 1,120 at max pips. And, I mean, Sound of Musicology will outclass that. But this, it's like, before you get this, Tempest is still king. So, yeah. Storm mains rejoice at this placement, I guess. Thermic Golem, I'll put it in the D tier. Storm doesn't really do a whole lot of defense, and this actually does do good damage for hit and shield, but yeah, I'm just gonna put it in the D tier because you're not really shielding that much as a Storm, especially not in PvE. Thundersnake is gonna be in the same boat. It does good damage, but you know, it's like all the other spells are just way better. Tree of Strife. I stand corrected, actually. This is going to be the highest damaging storm spell. If you have it at Path A, this, by far, is going to be the strongest. So I'm going to bump Stormzilla on down to B tier. So, yeah, it's like Tree of Strife. This is the best first round single target hit that you can get. So, would recommend. Triton. This is going to be the only single target hit that I put in the S tier. Look at that damage. It's like, you sort of take what I said about Tree of Strife, and then you realize that Triton for 6 pips could go all the way up to 920, which is so insane. It's like, I tend to use that when I'm crash farming, because it's like, I don't even pack Stormlord. I pack this, I pack a Bunyip, and I pack a Sound of Musicology, along with the Frenzy and the Enchants. So, if I don't get the Shad, I'm using this on the boss, just to cut down on that AT. So, Triton, just because of all of that damage, is going to be in the S tier, for sure. Wild Bolt, I'll put it in the C tier. Sometimes it pops off, sometimes it doesn't, but yeah, Wild Bolt. It can be fun to use. I will say it's better than Insane Bolt. So, yeah, Wild Bolt will go in the C tier. Windstorm, this is one that I just wanted to toss in there, you know. And, you know, it's a decent spell. It's another buff that Storm can use. 25% to the next Storm spell to all enemies. It's like, this honestly makes Storm good with like trap stacking bosses like Aphrodite. So yeah, Windstorm is going to go in the C tier for that reason. So this is the finished Storm spells tier list. Agree, disagree, feel free to leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. This is definitely more front-loaded. There are a lot more good spells than bad spells in Storm's arsenal, when it comes to PvE at least. So yeah, that is going to wrap up. Thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more, and I will see y'all later.